Anthony William will scoot down a little bit. Just
Okay.
a little touch. There we go. I
That's
think
good.
we got it. Yep. Anthony William, the medical medium. Kristin Cassidy, okay. Calvin Stebbins, right here. Two amazing people, a healing story, a powerful healing story. It's inspirational, means the world to me because they're family to me. And so it really matters so much. And I have him here. This is incredible. I didn't think I can get him here, but we made it happen. It's incredible.
Yep.
So we're all together.
Short amount of time.
So I just want to introduce everybody that this is these two people are so precious to me. They've been
Thank you.
through a lot, and it gets me choked up. I actually started getting choked up about it because I'll never forget. And it's been a long time now. But we're gonna talk about what happened. We're gonna talk about how serious it was, and Calvin's been through. He's 18 years old now.
Yep.
Which is
18.
incredible. And he was 10 years old at the time. And so they contacted me 10 years ago that we're going to talk about it all. So everybody just get ready and sit back and get your tea. We got your celery juice, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I think we
Got
should
the
start with
celery
our
juice?
celery
Juice.
juice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a little now.
Yep.
That's
get a
actually a
little
good idea.
here.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah, it's been kind of hectic and crazy this morning and
Yeah.
getting ready and
Cheers.
everything.
We're
Cheers.
good.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I was gonna say.
Awesome.
There we
Awesome.
go.
I think I spilled some on you.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Like you said, we're family here.
So, anyway, we're here to tell a story, talk about a story that happened, and it's 8 years ago now. I would say, not just 8
Yeah.
years ago, it's going on 10 years ago.
Yeah.
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 Get it right, Anthony, get it
Yeah.
right. And,
Some time.
yeah, it's been quite some time. So, and you were 10 years old
10 years
when
old,
it
yeah.
happened and everything. So hey, you guys, you wanna start, and then and I can talk about. I just know when you guys reached out, it was your mom
Yeah.
that reached out. Is that how it happened originally?
She, my mom was the one that found you in a magazine and got this sort of intuitive hit that this was someone that could help us. And we were at a point where we were so desperate at that point when we did find you. And this had started in January. Calvin had started with a just a stomach bug, just an upper respiratory thing, like every kid gets, a normal cold, and then he was having this abdominal pain that just continued
For
months,
and months,
weeks and months,
yeah.
and just progressed, and we went through all of this. We went through everything that we could possibly
Yeah.
get through. By the time we had met you, we were at a bad place, and it was just a very, very desperate. I was just at a place of such desperation. As a mother, it was just the most challenging thing to have your child so sick and to be so hopeless. And our whole family, Calvin's dad and Calvin's sister, who's a little older too, we all, all of us together having to go through this. But every day it was a full-time job, every day to find something that would work for him.
Yeah.
Every day. I would bring you to things you weren't really psyched about,
yeah.
energy
It was pretty
workers,
Well,
flowers,
for a
everything.
10-year-old, it's got to be really hard. I mean, I've talked about this for years too. About it's of course what mom goes through because it's unimaginable to when that's happening. But then when you're 10 years of age, though, it's really confusing. I mean, and it's like, okay, what's wrong here? Life was normal. And then now I can't really function. I can't do anything, and that's, And I remember being on the phone with you, and you were just literally in tears. But it was more. It was you were. I mean, it was. He couldn't get up and walk when I was on the phone with you.
Right.
And you told me his spirit was so broken. You've been to the hospitals. You've seen all the doctors, seen the best doctors around. All of this And that's the thing, and I always tell people, science and research doesn't have information for people that we think they do. We think they have it all set. We think they have it all down, but you quickly find out that's not true. And and so tell me a little bit, like, what you remember. Were you in pain? Because I remember you were
Excruciating pain. Yeah. I think the hardest part, too, is in the medical industry, if they don't know what it is, then they say you have a mental illness. That was the biggest thing that we were going through.
Unbelievable.
I was 10 years old. I had this enormous amount of pain that I could feel in my body. And then mental state was terrible because everybody was saying I was crazy. You know, they wanted to put me in the loony bin, pretty much.
Unbelievable.
Because
That
they
just
didn't
makes
know
me
what it
so
was.
upset.
They didn't
I
know
know,
what
it
it was.
makes me just
Yeah.
go back to that.
See,
that
what,
moment.
what people don't know about back in the old days, I've been doing this for 35 years. People think I started this yesterday, meaning doing the work we're doing, all
Yeah,
this
no.
amazing. This is going on 10 years with you guys, but
Yeah.
they think I started this yesterday. They think I just popped out a book where I started some celery juice thing, but they don't know that back years ago, and in what they did was they just told you it was all in your head.
Yeah.
Now they're teaching you, you're creating it. That's the new thing they're doing. They're teaching you, you're creating it. So it's like you're sick. Well, it's your fault. You're creating it. You're not attached to the universe. You're not attached to the something's whatever. And it breaks my heart. But the older days, it was like it's in your head. Can you imagine telling a 10-year-old and a 10-year-old's mom that he's making it up? I mean, he's in absolutely excruciating pain. It kills me. This is the stuff.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that kept me going every day because it's like, we can't have this happen. I mean, you went through hell.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hell on earth. I mean, at first it was confusing, and then when it got to the point where just before we met you, that was rock bottom. That was it was rock bottom. Like everybody, I was tired. Everybody would just want to give up. Some friends and family gave up on me. You know, so as a 10-year-old, that is the hardest thing. It's not just being like excruciating pain. You can't go and you can't play. You're 10 years old. Yeah.
You can't ride your bike. You can't have any fun. You're bedridden.
Yeah.
And then
months.
family really doesn't. Certain aspects of family's not really trusting in how you're being, because they heard from a professional that, well, we can't find anything wrong with him, and that's the thing. Science research doesn't know what's wrong with anybody that even has a diagnosis anyway.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what's happening out there. But I mean, I can't imagine as a little kid. And I remember, I mean, I was like, when I was on the phone with you and talking to you and stuff, when I was hearing how you guys were being treated, you know, with the medical industry. I mean, I've seen it happen before, but when you see it, literally, I mean, you were so choked up you couldn't even speak. I mean, you couldn't even speak anymore. And then you said he can't even get out of bed, Anthony, and no one is helping.
Yeah. Oh, it brings me back. I just get emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, as a mother, like that was, and there's all those moments where I'm just like, I can't give up. Can't give up on your child. It's like you have to do everything within your power. And I had a big bag of tricks. Like I really thought I had, I was a practicing herbalist for a really long time. So
which is incredible. Which is amazing.
Calvin lived in the garden, and I made all these things, and that's what I treated him with. And so I knew a lot of alternative healers, and they were actually great. They I went from phone calls to people across the country. I exhausted all attempts of certain doctors that I had, and they could go so far. They went so far to support what they could, but really it was so out of their sort of, realm of, we really did have this mystery illness.
Yeah.
The medical, I used as sort of a last choice, but I mean, we went through that whole process because he was in such pain. I mean, I'm like, we got to go to the ER and get him comfortable. And so we did ER visits from our town. We went to Dartmouth. We had to drive. Every time we drove him to the larger medical, which was the Dartmouth Hitchcock in our area, it was like a snowstorm. It was like white knuckle driving, either in a snowstorm or something. He did the scopes. We did the blood tests. We did
It's hard. It's hard to
everything.
take your son. It's hard to take your child to all these different tests, driving around. I mean, with no answers. So you're on a wild goose chase.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And they also, and some of their bedside manner was, like after he did his scopes and I came in, and then he started that stomach pain, and he was moaning because it was just he just moaned all day long. And she told him to be quiet. And I thought, okay. I wheeled him out of that day in a wheelchair, and he just says, Mom, they're not on our side. And I was in that moment, I said to him, you know what? No, they're not. But I'm here, and I'm not giving up. And I'm going to do whatever I can. And, and it just kept going and going and going, and no answers. I mean, get through. And it was a full-time job. I had to connect with all the doctors. I actually fired a doctor if you do that, hired someone else as his primary because they were just
You have to
not
do
checking.
that.
You do.
You have
to
to do
advocate
that.
so intensely.
It-
It's unbelievable.
I'm not against doctors. Never was. I know hundreds of doctors. I talked to
I've had
doctors.
some great
I've
doctors.
helped. Yeah, but you gotta fire them if you have to fire them.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah,
fire them
yeah.
if you have to fire them.
Yeah.
You just have
Right.
to because
I mean,
you know,
blessings, but like we just needed some other support that just wasn't happening there. That's all.
well, you know, it's and look, someone may think 10 years ago is not a long time ago. That's a
Right.
long time
It was a
ago.
long time ago,
yeah.
Times were harder then, sure, with being recognized that you even have something wrong with you, okay?
Yeah.
You know, but still, this is still happening today, regardless. But it
Yeah.
happened a lot more back then.
Yeah.
But it's tragic in the sense where because it's lingering afterwards. It's like it's the PTSD is what I know you guys have gone through. You've told
Yeah.
me about it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
post traumatic stress syndrome or PTSS. They call it PTSS, right? That's what they call it now. It's a stress syndrome versus
Yeah.
you know, and but the bottom line is you guys went through a lot of that, the whole
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, we went through everything. I mean, it was pretty much, I was just like a testing dummy for a few months until I met you, going into doctors. Doctors are great, but when it comes to
Yeah.
something that they don't know,
Right.
that's the thing with people. If they don't know something, then they tend to not like it. So they tend to not focus on it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the doctors did. They didn't know what it was, so they didn't focus on it. They
Yeah,
they
then-
picked another excuse for it,
Yeah.
which was a hard thing to do.
It was hard, and like you said, the medical was just that. I was grateful for all the testing to show, but nothing would show up on his testing. So it was like nothing came in to this this illness.
Well, I want to bring it back. So you know, you felt ill at first. So we're going to talk about what happened in along the way, your recovery, what I saw. We're going to go into all of that too. But
Everybody's
you know,
wondering what was it?
yeah, and
What was this thing?
we're gonna cover that. And
Yeah.
but like as far as like as you were getting worse.
Mhm.
And the pain was there. I mean, rock bottom was you were just laying in bed,
Couldn't walk.
couldn't walk.
Yeah, it was too
Couldn't do
painful.
anything.
I couldn't even walk across the floor. It hurt so bad, the vibration.
That's what
Yeah.
you said, right?
Yeah, it was
'Cause I
that
remember
we
you
couldn't put him
telling
in a
me-
car and bring him anywhere at
Yeah.
some point. Like
You
he
told me
couldn't
that
be
he couldn't walk.
transported.
You told me he couldn't be carried.
Yeah.
Right.
You told me that Dad had to carry him around.
Yeah, we would carry him.
You carry him
Okay,
around,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that if you walked, your steps were just stepping was so painstaking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Until he couldn't walk anymore. That's
Yeah.
when it got really scary.
Yeah.
And that was when, as Calvin said, that rock bottom too, of feeling like you said, you think you've got, that there's got to be someone out there who knows something. Like it's been 6 months almost of just everything and hitting a wall, and having people in your life. Like I had some of my best friends at the time show up and say, you know, what are you doing to get in the way of this healing? Why aren't you have him on
Classic.
psych meds? He's going to end up in a
Classic.
diaper if you don't end it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
The-
can't go down the road of fear with you. I'm sorry it's uncomfortable to watch this. You can't imagine what it's like to live it.
I
Like,
always-
you can't, but I honor what you're saying. I'll look at everything. You know, we did try the psych route. And they wanted to put him on these meds that I couldn't even believe, you know. It's just like, you know, it
Oh god, the
can't.
therapist.
That's when
That was a
and
funny
we just
story.
like, all right, we're gonna cover everything to the point where we feel. But the biggest thing was just like, of everything that we got out of this and what I got out of it too, is just like I had to follow my gut instinct. I'm like, I know that it's not in his head. I know that everyone around me was saying, you're doing the wrong thing. You're doing the wrong thing. He's gonna end up here, and you're gonna regret this. What if he dies, and you're gonna regret not doing, you know? And I felt like every test he got, it just didn't help. You know, it made it worse almost.
10-year-old
It just made it worse.
A 10-year-old just wants to play,
Yeah.
be happy,
Yeah.
and eat.
Yeah.
He wanted to
Okay.
snowboard. It was like snowboard.
Wants
There's
to
no
snowboard.
extra, you know.
A 10-year-old
Yeah.
boy doesn't lay in a bed and purposely just go into a mental state to die.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't
No kidding.
happen. But that's and you know the thing is, and I've been talking about this for years, is that you lose friends. You know who your friends are. You know who your friends are. and then you lose them too. You know who you do have as friends, and then you know who isn't your friend or isn't, because they can't put some type of belief system. They can't put that. They put that ahead of you knowing your son's suffering.
Yeah.
They put that ahead of you, of your son suffering. And I
Yeah.
think people do that because it makes them feel better. That's what I've learned.
That's what, yeah.
It makes them feel comfortable to whatever they believe in, how science and research has the answers, because you're doubting science and research, and that makes them uncomfortable because people want to feel safe. And I tell them, you're not safe.
Right.
The chronic illness is growing exponentially. It's populating. The population on the planet is basically suffering at this point. I mean, because people are hurting, because it's just the U.S. alone. There's so many people sick. And with symptoms. But this was grave at the point it was. It was grave. It was really, really, it was really hard for you guys. But like I said, it's people want to feel better. You notice that's what they do. So they'll turn against you, or they won't believe you because it makes them feel comfortable, because that's another thing. It's the most bizarre thing, but it's true.
It is, and I think a lot of it, when my friends came to me, I was just still, I recognized it was just their fear. They were afraid and there was nothing they could do. And I didn't understand, that I said I just got to do what feels right to me, even though it was really just a few people in our lives who were on our same page.
Yeah.
Just a few.
Very few.
Everyone else just. All the teachers, some of the, you're just a lot of other family members, and the friends too. They just didn't know. They were just probably as confused, but they didn't live the daily every day. That was so excruciating, and to even hear them in pain, and for us to feel that, and to have trouble sleeping, and it was just so much. I had him watching videos. We were watching Jeff Dunham, and even though I felt it was a little inappropriate at the time, the puppet guy, I just knew that laughter was needed, because I was feeling like my spirit was breaking, and I was scared of that. I was starting to head into a place where I wasn't even comfortable going, and I couldn't give up. But I was at that moment where I was sitting at the table going, oh my God, I'm going to do what I just said I would never do. I'm giving up. I have nothing else to turn to. And that was that's where I was. It was raining outside. You guys had finally gone to sleep, and I was just crying on the table going, I don't know what to do. I've done everything. And then you're a godsend. It was like my mother calling her. I think
your mom's a godsend. She's
too.
A godsend.
My mom.
She's not. She is.
But she was just I think, I found that, I saw this guy kind of, think you should go check him out. And and then I called him, and she said, I gave my plea, and they're really busy, but they're gonna talk to you. And,
I remember my office, and remember that was when I was doing consultations. So I did decades of consultations. You guys know that I've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But I think that was, my office got in touch with you, and I remember them. They were taking your plea to me.
Yeah.
And they were just like, no, you have to help now. And I'm like, I was working on 50 people a day as it was from morning till night, all the way till midnight. I slept so many hours, all of it. But the point was I was just like, the people in my office was like, they were like, no, you have that, drop everything.
They knew.
They knew, and they were
desperate.
Coming back at me, and I said, okay, I said, okay, you got it. And I got on the phone with you, and I was like, oh yeah, no, we have to take care of this. We have to get this better, because the thing is that the thing is you guys did what I wanted you to do. That's the thing that I'm going to talk about too.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole nother thing. You were like, I don't care what it is.
Yes.
You tell me he's going to do it. And first of all, to think that when a professional or doctor says, well, your son's making this up or something, right? Well, no, that's not possible. When he was literally, he wanted to do anything to heal. He literally wanted to do anything.
Yeah.
Because I said, well, you're going to have to eat like this. Just whatever.
Yeah.
I did.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Everything.
You're going to have to take all these supplements.
Yeah.
You're just like,
yeah.
That's it, And Spirit of Compassion was talking to me, telling me exactly what he needed. to make sure you heal. Now, the information is now in all the books. So if anybody's out there and they're like, well, how do I get a hold of Anthony? How do I do this now? And that happens, it's through the books. The information is in all of them. Yeah, grab a book.
I'm going to grab a book. Because this, I mean, I obviously bought all the books because we've just been, so close after. We just got so close. Because, I was just in such a place that I was talking to you like every other day. Yeah. And you were like, just hang in there. So
I was like, hang in there. He's actually getting better.
What else we got? The celery juice thing. So that's happening.
Mm-hmm. He's drinking his celery juice now, though.
I know.
Scoot in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think we're a little bit out. Yeah.
I know. And
I got to scoot in.
This one's great too. And I've actually given books to my friends too, who are I know that are watching this and handing them out. And then you've got your thyroid, their first book. Grab that one, Cal. Yeah, because I remember going there, and this one was this one's great too. So all of these are incredible. It's just amazing.
Well, they're medical books.
They're amazing.
That's what people don't realize. They're actually medical books.
They are. It's all the information that people can't get anywhere else.
No,
that's what.
It's not
so
in other
incredible.
books. It's not on the internet. It's not in other books. All that stuff doesn't take this, do your moringa powder, do your collagen. That's not going to get a 10-year-old boy out of a crippling illness. It just doesn't. And microbiome talk doesn't get a crippling boy out of illness. It's like all these different things and fads and trends and candida theories and all this other stuff isn't going to do it. You need real answers. But I was really happy about you guys contacting me at the time, because when I centered myself, because I was like with chicken with my head cut off, I centered myself. I was like, oh yeah, we have to take care of this now.
Yeah.
And I was so happy when you guys were doing what I needed you to do.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, as long as I know you guys were doing it, then we can move forward and you can get better. And so I want to talk about a little bit about what happened on my end. Yeah. So everybody knows out there, so you guys know. So started out with a stomach problem, but nobody knew what it was. It was like you thought it was a cold or something.
Yeah, it was just like a normal. At first, it was just like a normal sickness. People thought it was. It's a stomach ache,
stomach flu or something. Yeah.
Okay. But he wasn't dealing with a flu. He wasn't dealing with a stomach flu. No. He wasn't dealing with anything.
Or appendicitis or gastro. Like, we went through everything.
No.
Everything.
You guys went through everything with the medical testing routes, all of
great.
that.
So we ruled all that out.
So what I did a scan. Okay, so I did a reading is what I used to do. That's how it would work. And Spirit of Compassion would talk to me and tell me what's going on and give me the vision of internal working, so I could see in there as well. A whole bunch of white light comes down. Many of you probably know I've talked about this before. I go partially blind, and then I'm able to see inside the person. So that's how it works. So what was happening with him, he had a virus. Viruses I talk about now. Viruses I talked about before they came to me. And advanced information about virology that doesn't exist anywhere. Right. And so what happens is that's responsible for chronic illness and why people suffer. And I try to keep on teaching that there. But what happened was I saw a viral issue inside of him, and it was in the shingles family. It was actually in the shingles family. Now, children can get the shingles, and it won't rash out. Yeah. That's how it works. They're too young to have it rash out because it's a different form of shingle. There's over 30 varieties of shingles right now out there. Many of them are non-rashing that children get. Mm-hmm. Adults can get non-rashing ones too, but this is what variety of virus it was. And the problem is with this virus is it creates so much pain. Now, an adult can have shingles and they know the pain it creates. The outside rash, the amount of nerve pain it creates. Now, when it's internal like this, it's so debilitating. You can't walk, you can't function, you could barely eat, you can barely even move. Yeah. And you felt kind of almost seized up in pain from your lower abdomen to the top here, right?
And it affected his brain too. Like it got to the point where he was like, I'm dreaming weird, like your dream. Remember you said something about your dreams?
Yeah,
it was interfering with your dreams, and
I'll talk about why.
It was and then it's interfering with, and so people are like, "Oh, he just doesn't want to do homework." I'm like, "No, he's like, I can't get my brain
So
to
he's gonna
coordinate
lay,
now.
he's gonna lay in a bed and just waste away and die because he doesn't want to do homework.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
Yeah. He'd lost 15 pounds. He'd lost 15
At 10 years
pounds
old.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to do any homework when I was a kid, but
No,
I would just,
I don't think
I would
want to
just,
do any homework.
yeah, I would
really,
just
but-
throw my notebook, my homework, away,
Oh yeah.
and I would just go outside and
Yeah.
with
Right.
spirit and go
Not do
forward.
it.
Yeah, that's what I would do. But that was how I handled it. I know you would handle it the same way. If you didn't want to really do it, you just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But you did your
But, yeah.
homework. That's not it. You did exactly and all that. But it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And so the shingles virus, that herpetic family virus, it's in people have. If you think you don't have the shingles viruses in you, I got to just give you this wake up call. Everybody does.
Yeah.
There's different varieties, and they come out at different times. They give people neuropathy, they give people jaw pain, trigeminal neuralgia, they give people migraines, they give people fatigue, they give people a lot of problems, and that's what the shingles virus does. And those are just some things that it does. And so it's amazing. Now, it was interfering with sleep because it releases a neurotoxin. Viruses, when they're really hyperactive like that, when you come down with an infection like that, like Calvin did, it releases a neurotoxic chemical that floats around all through the body and even to the brain. It can disturb sleep. It can create sleeping issues. Can make dreams weird. It could do all this kinds of stuff. Now, it's advanced information. You're not going to hear this stuff anywhere, and that's another thing is because we're kept in this weird bubble of no one has answers.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care the best authors, the best doctor authors, the best whatever, all these people out there, they don't have the answers. Science research doesn't. So we're kept in this bubble of just try this, try that, go get your blood work. Oh, it's this, it's that. And so, but this is really complicated information. So just try to rewatch this again to understand how the shingles virus works.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is when it gets into the lymphatic vessels too, because that's what happened.
Yeah.
It got into your lymph glands down from your lower groin all the way up and was spreading.
It's in its vagus nerve.
Yeah. It was spreading. So what happens is when it gets in there, it then swells up around the vagus nerve, around the phrenic nerves that run through your chest. So you got the vagus nerve and your phrenic nerves that run down through your neck, down into your chest right here. They get inflamed from the neurotoxins from the shingles virus. It can seize you up. It could get everything to not only hurt in severe critical pain, but it could get your chest tight. It could make it so you can't walk. It could cause so many complications and difficulties.
It's incredible.
And so, and these viruses, if you don't, when they get like that and you don't jump on it and you don't do the right things, they could go like this and be like this forever. I mean, for years. But we jumped on this. We got it taken care of, and he doesn't have to worry ever again.
Yeah.
But this was a shingles virus infection. They got into the lymphatic vessels. They got into nerves.
Yeah.
And the thing is with abdominal nerves, you're so sensitive that all you need is a viral infection touching all those different abdominal nerves. And it's crippling. And for a 10-year-old, here's the scary thing. You did an amazing job. You protected your son.
Yeah.
Because of how you were mindful about alternative medicine. You were mindful. You have a yoga studio.
Yeah.
You still have a yoga studio now. You're into natural stuff. He's been eating out of the garden. When he was a child, you have the garden. You guys were into organic food, right?
Yeah.
That's a miracle. That's why I don't dislike all of alternative medicine or alternative thinking. And I always say the alternative medicine world still is messed up too, just like conventional, but there's so many great things. You guys are eating organic food. I talk about there's great stuff in both fields too. But the thing is that was a blessing because moms out there, they don't have that, and they get stuck in the conventional way. And then what do you do? Where do you go from there? They don't reach out for something else, or they just stay within the perimeter of what they have, the conventional system or the thought process there. And then a virus like this, that could get really severe. It could create a problem. Then the children may get a diagnosis of ALS, or they may get another diagnosis of something else, or some severe critical multiple sclerosis, or they run you through 20 more tests and they end up injuring you in those 20 tests. Now
That's
you're
what I was
sicker.
afraid of too.
Now you're even sicker, and this happens. I've watched
Poor
this.
babies out there.
Yes, I've watched this.
God. lot.
It's painful. I've talked to doctors that have watched this.
Yeah.
I've seen some amazing doctors out there talk about, other doctors that have not seen the signs
Yeah.
of these things.
Yeah.
And so your motherhood, your mother powers were really on. I mean, you were really, and all moms' powers are on.
Right.
They're all doing the best they can and don't have opportunities. You guys were able to find me.
Yeah.
And so I mean, but
you don't know what you don't know, and so and like you said too, that even when we found you, you said you were caring for a lot of children, and a lot of them will end up strapped to a hospital bed, which I knew that was sort of I just felt like that was the trajectory we were headed. If they were, everyone's like, just put him on psych meds. Why isn't he on psych meds? And I just thought, you don't get it. I will lose him. And and you said that was,
I know I was harsh.
No, you were
harsh,
great. No, you were
Like,
great.
no, wait, you don't. Did I say it?
You didn't. You weren't harsh. What? This is my what you said.
Because I was so worried.
You were, but no, you just said you are right. Because I said I know it's not in his head, and you said you are right. In that moment, it was just to me like, okay, like my gut instinct. I mean, moms, just that's like the greatest thing. Like, go with your gut, no matter what people say or do. And we had everyone around us in my world just doubting every move. You are being a terrible mother. I mean, I got stuff coming at me.
Oh yeah, it was
happened.
And I just thought, you know what? I have to keep going. I have to keep sticking to here, because I will lose him if I even think to do what everyone is telling me to do. So when you just stepped in and said, "You're right. It's not in his head. You're right." Yeah. It's like, okay, so you kind of pulled me up from that spirit. I'm just like, you just kind of hang on there. You keep going with this. And that's why it was like, we talked a lot, and you said, put him on this, we'll do that. There was only a certain amount of food available. We did a lot of bananas, we did a lot of potatoes.
Well, you guys were in Vermont.
In the winter.
Okay, in the winter, in Vermont.
Yeah.
I mean, I come from Maine. I know what it's like in the winter. I know what it's like when there's nothing there.
Yep.
And it's a difficult situation. But it was like, okay, well, what do you have? What's there? What can we work with?
Yeah, and it was good. It was good because it was sort of like a mono diet in some way, and you're like, no, that's fine that he's having a lot of bananas. It's fine. And I drove 45 minutes to an hour every week to go to Whole Foods, so I had more fruit and possibility, and I was making things that weren't so great for you because you couldn't have meat and things like that.
No, but it was so let's talk about the food a little bit.
Okay.
I had to keep them off of animal protein.
Yep.
Because in order to, it doesn't mean you have to be off animal protein the rest of your life or anything,
right.
but what it is, and this is where belief systems can completely stop somebody from healing.
Yeah.
If someone's believes, or a doctor believes, no, the animal protein, or a family believes animal protein is going to be the answer, you can't not eat animal protein. In this situation, you wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
So anybody who's plant-based, this is kudos for you or whatever. I mean, you guys are, because you plant-based believers are really, they're really strong on their belief system, and they fight, unless they get a symptom and then they run back to animal protein, but we'll talk about it another time. But the point is depends, not everybody. But the point is, not everybody. I know I'm a little too heavy about that. But the bottom line is that the reason why we had to go off animal protein for you, which is a huge step for a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge step. The reason is because the high fat in the bloodstream lowers oxygen levels, so we won't have a good chance of healing the virus. Your virus is in your blood, it's in nerves, it's in organs, and then if the blood fat's too high because you're having chicken fat, because lean chicken breast without the skin has all this fat in it. Yeah. If you have too much of any kind of animal protein fat, or if you have an animal protein that could feed viruses, that's a whole nother thing. And I'm not anti-animal protein, I'm not anti-vegan, whatever, I'm just giving you guys the layout, is viruses, they can't thrive when oxygen levels are really high in the bloodstream. That's number one, okay? Number two, in order to get medicinals in your system rapidly and faster, you can't have high blood fat. You can't have chicken fat.
Right.
And I mean, I've seen this over and over again. And you got the keto diet, which is a high fat diet. And meanwhile, you put somebody, if a 10-year-old boy suffering to this degree has a virus like this, many do out there, and you put them on a keto diet, we're going to go downhill from there.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. And So, and I'm not anti-keto diet, I'm just saying. And
It's in this crisis situation we're applying,
Oh, yeah.
especially. Like you
Yeah.
were saying, can't have him on meat, he will atrophy. Like
He
he
will
won't heal
atrophy,
when he's
yeah.
lying down. Like
Here,
people that are
yeah.
lying down,
they can
I
heal.
thought all these people in
They
hospitals
can heal.
that need healing are being fed the wrong diets.
Yep. Here's how it
So-
works. The high fat, when you're bedridden and you have the possibility of atrophying and losing muscle,
Yeah.
and you're eating the animal proteins, the high fats block sugars from getting to your cells, and sugar is how you sustain muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Laying in bed, I've had to help so many people with severe neurological disorders or viruses or problems or just chronic illness of some kind. It's like, whoa, did the high fats have to go? The animal products have to go for a little while because we need to sustain your muscle, because carbohydrates is how we keep muscles. It's how we keep those muscles built and keep
Right.
those muscles strong. People don't know that. So here's how it works is, okay, number one, you're stuck in bed.
Yeah.
You're 10 years old. You can't use your muscles. So
No.
now we're at the mercy of the conventional system, both psychiatrists,
Yeah.
psychiatry, both the medical system. He's 10 years old. They can possibly take him away from you. Who knows? You know, in the mindset they have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, that's how they do. And here you are laying in bed, and we had to say, hey, wait a minute. We have to make sure you sustain muscles.
Yeah.
So Spirit of Compassion knows this information. Nobody knew this information out there. They still don't. And so it's like sustain your muscles, number one. We had to lower your fats in your diet so that viruses can't thrive. Because here's how it works. Sugars like fruit sugars and potato sugar and all that doesn't feed viruses. It doesn't at all. It feeds your muscles. It's antiviral. So it's number one. So getting the fats down lower made more oxygen occur in the blood. It allowed supplementation, medicinals to get to the virus. The virus protects itself with fat. That's how it works. So if we eat all these fatty foods and we're sick, then it protects it with all the fat in the bloodstream. And it doesn't matter. So what happens is we had to make sure the supplementation got to the bugs and killed off the bugs. So that's what happened. We use supplementation. I talk about it in the books all the time about viruses and all these different things. We had to make sure that that was ample in your bloodstream.
Yeah.
We had to make sure that the diet was really clean. We had to make sure there was no eggs in the diet, because eggs feed
especially.
viruses. And
Yeah.
you were on eggs at the time when I met you guys. It was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you're gonna make your
Yeah.
10-year-old scrambled eggs. Of course, every mom makes their 10-year-old
No.
child scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Of
Or
course.
omelet, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. I
Yeah.
totally understand. But hey, these belief systems, we had to be like, wait a minute, no, and we had to pinpoint, no guessing games.
Yeah.
That's what I've talked about in the books. Is there's no guessing games with the medical medium information. It comes from above any of the other information that's all being thrown around. A total guessing game.
Yeah.
How to make sure we'd save his life, and you did. You did just as much of a part of. You say I was. You too, because all these different things you did.
Yeah.
You listened,
Oh,
and you know you were like, okay, I'm gonna do that, and you were like, God, I mean, you just ate whatever I told you to eat. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just,
I mean, he wasn't happy,
was-
and sometimes was a little.
I don't
you
know.
Talk
So-
about, you talk about what it was like for you to
yeah,
eat.
but he was in pain.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
you're really in pain, you're not going to be really happy about anything.
No.
That's
I
the
mean,
other thing
yeah,
too.
there was some. Well, what was it? The one that I didn't like. She would make me. What was it? It was the chocolate pudding, but out of guacamole.
Avocado. I was
yeah.
so excited to make him
That
a
was-
dessert because he couldn't
that
have
was-
dessert.
Yeah.
I whipped
that
up
was one
cocoa
thing
with
that was a
avocado.
little-
Yeah.
That's
that was
good,
a
that's
little,
good.
It actually looked like pudding, and I remember thinking, God, this tastes really good. I think we could only use raw honey. So it was raw honey,
yes,
avocado,
yeah.
and pure like cacao or cocoa, and I had to go and I whipped it up, and it was this
You
chocolate
made it
pudding.
taste good.
And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, chocolate pudding. And he goes, chocolate pudding. He takes a couple bites and he goes, oh. And then he sees the green in the avocado and he goes, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
You just, no. And I'm like, oh, I didn't whip it up enough. Like, I tried to hide it, you know.
Yes.
It's sort of like, I made you
Incredible.
these like nut burgers. And then I think I
Yeah, the
talked
nut
to some
burgers.
other moms too. You had me like,
Yep.
just to sort of support. So there was a support team for other moms that are just going through this intense situation.
Well, you know, yeah,
and what
because
can we cook and where can we go?
There
and
was there was a lot of moms that we were helping.
yeah.
Okay, because that's what happens. It's just, you know,
Oh,
moms were contacting me
so
every day, and we had a lot of moms we were
torturous.
helping to recover their children. and we've recovered just hundreds and even thousands over the decades. And what happened was, I was like, okay, you got to talk to different moms. We'll get you as many moms as you need that healed it, that worked on healing their children the same way, that moved forward with everything. So it was about so I connected you guys with a lot of moms and make sure that you had support. And you were doing fruit, because I remember I had them on a lot of fruit.
Yeah, a lot of fruit.
And right now, fruit is shunned. It's shunned as something bad. It's shunned as something not healing. I had you on a lot of fruit. I had you on potatoes.
Yeah, love potatoes.
Those are the things.
Good liver.
I remember you said, he's getting sick of potatoes. I remember you saying that. He's getting sick of potatoes.
I'd mash him, I'd roast him, I'd do everything I could. Make him in a burger. He's like, oh.
Yeah, potato burgers. And so, but you know what? You're my hero. Because you're my hero. Because, you just did it. You did it. You were just like, and you just said, just whatever I got to do. I remember her telling me specifically that you said to me, just give me whatever I need. I'm going to do what I got to do. That's what you said.
Yeah.
I even heard you a few times talking. Then you were talking to me. So you were actually brave enough to be on the phone, meaning, and Mom would be talking, you'd be talking to me. And I gotta say, it's just, I'm really proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of this family because, because you guys are tough.
Yeah, it was a family effort. We all, his dad, his sister, we all just were like, it was a whole effort.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here without you, so, it's,
I know. The other thing is that Calvin, when he was going through his pain, and it's just torture to look at your child and just not be able to do anything. That was the thing too, is, the medical, I would go, okay, can we just give him a pain med? Can we do something? Can we, whatever, nothing touched it. A nerve blocker.
No.
They tried every medicine they could, and it didn't touch it.
Viral pain, there's no pain meds for viral pain.
Nothing took it away.
Unless it's really mild viral pain, and then, people can use some meds for it, but when it's viral pain and it's in its infectious, like the higher infectious state, and listen, you're healthy. The thing is everybody's got these bugs in them. Yeah. Everybody, girl, boy, doesn't matter who they are, they got them in them. So it's not like that's the whole thing. It's just Russian roulette, basically, or whatever. It's like musical chairs to when it's going to hit.
Yeah,
it can hit you at 40. That's when it hits. It hits you at 45. You can go fine. You can go through life. You can do whatever you're doing, and then it hits you. It's just horrible. And then it can hit you younger too. It just it's like we all have these bugs in our system. That's how it works. And we all get these different conditions. You're healthy. You're so healthy now, it's ridiculous. You're healthier now than, I could go just walk down the street, or I can go in a meeting somewhere. You're healthier than anybody in that meeting. Yeah. You're healthier than, that's the whole thing. You're really rock solid. I gave you a hug when you got here, and it was like you had guns. You got muscle in you. You got muscle 3 times bigger than me in my arms, and in your back you were all muscle, like literally muscle. And so it was like the whole point is like, you are like, you're healthy with how you're taking care of yourself. You cleaned up that bug early on so it doesn't sneak up on you down the road. Everybody else, it sneaks up on them. They end up getting sick with all these problems. They get the high anxiety. They get the, the aches and pains. They get the tingles and numbness. They get all these other things that happen in their life. And they get the, they get all these, but you're really, you're strong, you're healthy, you put this behind you. Yeah. But tell me about like the PTSD factor though, because I'm big on the PTSD because I even wrote about it. I wrote about it in the books many times on how, and the PTSD for when you've recovered from something and gone through something, it's like you think if you get a little cold, you're like, oh my God. Yeah. You get a cold. If I got anything, any little thing, it was like, what is this going to be? You overthink everything, and then it just sends you back down the road of when I was super sick. So it was hard to actually get through that. It took, I don't know, for me it took a couple of years, I'd say. It was a couple of years,
Yeah, we all sort of are and when you're in crisis as a family, you're also all trying to manage your own emotions and everything else. So, everyone has their own story. I was gonna say too. I'll talk about the PTS for me too. When you were, I just clearly remember when he was laying down, and at that point, and I just nothing I could do for him. That's a hard. Like I couldn't take his pain away. I'll just give it to me. I'll take it. But there's nothing I could do. And he looked at me and said, "Mom, don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay." You were trying to ease my emotional, breakage of feeling.
He had to become the counselor.
Yeah. He just in that moment, it's okay, Mom. And I'm like, God, you were just I was calling you my monk, like my little Buddhist monk. He just was dealing with it and it's gonna be okay. He said that, it's gonna be okay, and so we got through it.
He had to become a Buddha.
I can only imagine.
He had to become he
had the little shaved head. He kind of looked. Yeah. It was really cute. First time shaving his head. But I mean, the thing is, for you to even manage to manage chronic pain, you have this newfound compassion for people that are also experiencing what you're experiencing out there. All of you that are out there experiencing what you're experiencing, and knowing that to be able to manage that day by day is such an intense power within you to just manage it. And you're gonna have days where you must have just felt like you wanted to give up. I can't imagine,
a lot.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of depression that comes along, and people just get so broken down that that this information's out there to that just like you said, we went through everything served in its own way. Like you said, it's everything served, but really we couldn't get to a point where we could actually heal, and here we are.
That's what happens. There's all these little tidbits out there. There's all this information on the internet. There's all these so-called studies behind it, because everybody's throwing all these studies. The vegans and the paleos are battling each other over food and don't even know what causes illness. And then you have all this going on, but yet in the end you get sick. It's really sick, or you're struggling for a while. And that's what Spirit told me when I was a child, and said, you have to understand how important this is, because when I was your age, when I was 10 years old, I wanted to quit. And I remember telling Spirit, I don't care about anybody. I don't care. I want to live my life. I was 10 years old.
I want to be a kid.
I want to be a kid. Yep. And Spirit said, no, you don't understand. And there's going to be a lot of misinformation out there, Spirit told me. And it's going to be impossible for people to actually, that really do need to heal, Yeah. And you have to stay with this as long as you can. So I was just like, fine.
Fine.
But the post-traumatic stress disorder, or the whole thing with that, the PTSD.
That's definitely interesting.
The thing is with that is it happens to everybody. I know it happens to you guys too all the time. You got the chronic fatigue syndrome. You got the vertigo. You got you got the anxiety. You got the migraines. And then all of a sudden you're getting a little better, and then you get a little symptom, and then you feel like, and I always say it's still, healing is 3-step. When you're doing the right things, it's 3 steps up, 2 steps back. And when you finally get out of there, and you're out of the weeds, and you're out of that the depth of darkness, and you're finally pulled out of that, then you can still have that PTSD for a long time. I mean, I've seen people have it for 5 years, 4 years, for 8 years after they've been healed, or after they've healed. And so it really is amazing how it works.
I think ours was about the same. I think that I remember a day where I didn't react with when you got sick. I remember that moment going, oh my gosh, I didn't get that feeling in my body.
So you felt like you were getting past it.
It took about 2 or 3, could have been 3 years. I just remember each time, all of us, the whole family, each time there was sort of a sniffle, or you'd sneeze, cough, or someone's sick at school, and we thought, oh gosh. The other thing that Calvin did, that I don't know if you remember, is that when in his healing process, and we would start to transition into eating more, he would start to get those symptoms again. So we'd know if we were off track, and he'd say, oh, got to go back on that protocol, back on the diet.
Stages.
At the early stages was like, oh, I guess I shouldn't eat that. Okay, I'm going back. Yeah, and you immediately track back into protocol. We did that.
Yeah, I remember that. Because
so
it was still in the early process of healing. You were healing rapidly, and then you go into the old ways, and you're like, wait a minute, I got to get back on track until it's finally all clear. Yeah. Did you have a basketball hoop in your driveway?
Did I? No, I didn't.
Or is that? Why am I thinking you had? Did you have a basketball though?
A
Did you-
basketball?
Yeah.
Every
Okay.
kid has
Okay.
basketball.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm saying
Yeah.
this because I remember you telling me he was in the driveway bouncing a basketball.
Oh, yeah, I would do
yeah,
that.
probably
Yeah, you would
I
do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when you told me, and this was literally like the first warm day coming up, I think, or you were just recovering, you're finally walking around the house,
Yeah, it
you
took
were
a month
feeling
and a half.
good. It was about a
Yeah.
month and a
Yeah.
half into it. You told me, I called up. I was like, all right, what's going on? What's going
I
on?
know.
And you're like, he's in the driveway playing basketball right now, bouncing his basketball right now,
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Because I knew
Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah.
Emotionally, you're using your arms, you're getting your strength back,
Yeah.
you're bouncing your back. That's what
Yeah.
you feel mentally, like you feel past that stage of, oh my God, I was dying.
Yeah.
And now you feel at the stage where, no, I'm living my life playing. And I knew that was so
Yeah.
powerful. You were
Yeah, I
just
was
like,
back to being a kid again.
back to being a kid again.
Yeah.
And that's the key. It's like,
That was incredible.
you needed to be freed up and be that child again and just
Yeah.
move on with your life. When people get chronic illness, you guys know it's like, hey, wait a minute, I want to move past this. I want to move on with my life. I want to get past all this. And, and so there's nothing better than having that final chance to do that, is to finally put it behind you and just to go back to work. Because so many people that with the medical medium information, they heal. And they feel like they can go back to work. They feel like they go back to do things. They feel like all that stuff. When you're a child, I mean, it's unimaginable, really, because you have to grow up fast. You have to learn how to grow up fast because you had to counsel mom. You had to become mom's.
A little bit. He was just kind of like,
No,
it's going to
no.
be okay. Yeah, I know. But he's
Yeah.
always been like that.
I love that.
And a very wise soul. Both my kids are. It was a really interesting experience when he was in that process of healing, especially when you have people telling you that it was all sort of secondary gain for some reason. And the other thing, too, with the information.
What does that mean?
Secondary gain?
Yeah, I mean, like
Secondary gain was what some of the professionals were
Okay.
telling us, that secondary gain means that he was doing it to get out of schoolwork.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
exactly-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, like that kind of thing. They were saying, and I'm like, this is not my kid. This isn't how he is. But
That's just
I know it's awful.
you can't
It's
even.
awful. It's awful.
But I've watched that be literally the thing. That's what it was out there. You got
Yeah.
sick. If they couldn't figure it out, which was millions of people, then it was all in your head,
Right,
right?
it was all in your
Yeah.
head. I think a lot of people are experiencing that, where you think you're crazy.
Now
And now
just,
it's like, this is hope. Like, now the
Yeah.
information's in the books. The information is here and in a live chat, or in any of your mediums that you're out sharing this information. Is that, I think, the number one thing too in the process of healing and being a catalyst for that is just hope. When you're at a place where feel so broken, so hopeless, and so sick that you start to lose hope that there's something that can actually be there to sort of help you. And that was a really big for me, for you to just be like, hang in there. Okay, now he has to walk. I'm like, are you sure? You're like, yeah, you got to get him on his feet. And Calvin wanted to get to his sister's graduation, and he forced himself in pain, forced himself on crutches when she was at school.
Yeah.
So we could surprise her, and in her 8th grade graduation, we put him in the car, and it still hurt to go up there. And
But
this
he
was
was
June.
healing.
Oh,
He
it's
was healing,
yeah.
and
At
I was
that point,
crying all the way
healing.
up because I'd hit a bump, and he's like, ow, but he just went through it, and he showed up on his crutches, and
Yeah.
from then on, like you said, then he started to get right in.
Well,
Here he is. We haven't had a relapse,
Oh.
And once that was healed, like, no relapse. Hallelujah.
No, you're
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah.
No, you're solid. You're past
Yeah.
it. You're over it.
Yeah.
There is hope for people, absolutely, without
Yeah.
a doubt. I mean, I wish I could have written the books earlier than 2014, 2015. I wish I could have done that,
Yeah.
and to get the information to everybody so they can have this information.
Yeah.
But I was helping out so many. The waiting list was in the millions by the time I was writing the books, and there was just no way to do it. It had to be through the books from here on out. But this was the early days, and this was towards the this was not so early in it all, but it was early. It was 10 years ago, and it was you got me there. You got me when I was doing that. But like I tell people, don't lose hope just because you can't talk to me, because now I'm doing the books. The books have this information in it.
Yeah.
If you spend time to read, if you can't focus, some people, they feel so sick they can't read the book. Have a friend read the book to you. Just have them read the book to you.
Yeah.
Can't afford a book, go to the library.
I've done that too, where I've taken pictures on my phone and sent them, like a chapter to somebody that they could read, or I'd send the protocol and different things that they could start to
Amazing.
just, you know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Scott Bakula and Chelsea Field were here yesterday. They're actually stocking some libraries right now.
Oh, that's
really?
great.
Yeah. There's been
good.
some requests, and they're actually stocking some libraries with some books. They just said, "Hey, you just let them know, on
That's a
social
great
media
idea.
somehow, and we'll try to keep an eye on it too." And
Maybe
but
we
you
can do
know,
that too.
so
That'd be great.
so the information's out there now. But in the time when you guys, the books weren't there, and you found me and stuff, and it's an honor. It was an honor to know you guys through the process and help you and be there for you guys, and it's I've never forgotten. I mean, we're family now.
I know.
But
that's so amazing.
When you go through something like that,
and
it bonds you together,
Definitely.
where you can't break that. It's just always gonna be there. I love you guys, and
love you.
and but I have to say, you're fighters.
Yeah.
Swear to God, you're fighters, and I always tell people just find that fight. It's in you.
I know.
Just find that fight, right?
It is.
Don't you
That's-
think, Calvin?
yeah.
There is a place, and that, I think this was like the most challenging thing I've had to go through, and I always look at what's my takeaway that I can share with my yoga students or even people in my life, and I think, indomitable will. It's that, like, there's something inside of us that is such a charge and such a force that it's untouchable from anything else, and that we have to find that place, and it's there, and I want people to find that place.
Tell me what you're doing now. You got your yoga studio going on.
Yeah.
It's in Vermont.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on. Like, how can people even reach you? I mean, do you even get there and do yoga? I mean, I want to go out there.
We gotta I'll do some yoga with you here. I was like, we can. Yeah.
I made you guys come out here to California.
Yeah.
And it's like you were like, hey, can we come out there? And I was like, yeah, come out here.
You're so funny. Can you come out and be on my show? And I'm like, in 24 hours? Yes. I got my subs. I actually taught class Friday morning.
Oh my God.
And then hopped the plane later. Like, I just barely made the car. Yeah. So my studio's in Brattleboro, Vermont. I mean, it's this great community. I just wanted to provide a sacred space for people to come and access through yoga. Just to access a place, being in their body in a way that's accepting, really finding the place we're talking about.
You're probably going to get phone calls now, though. Just be prepared, because...
That'd be great. This is my
do
journey.
yoga there?
Right. I just expanded my studio, but I can only I squeeze about 30, and I do the heated because I love the infrared heat. But people also talk to me just in general.
There,
Yeah,
so
the
very
heat's
cold there,
nice.
It's freezing cold in Vermont. It's freezing cold in Maine. It's freezing.
27 degrees out right
That's
now.
right. I forget.
It's probably 12 degrees in Maine right now. Okay, up way up there.
It was really cold. Yeah. So I'm here too. I'm here as a facilitator of getting people to just live a life they love and live a powerful life.
Well, you have a lot of experience, because when you get through something like you did, I mean, that's what I always tell you guys. You guys are experts when you literally you're going through all that experience of being sick and going to doctor and making life about doctor's appointments because you have no choice and all these other things. You get real experience, and something inside you becomes powerful, your soul, everything through the whole process. And I don't want anybody to give up on any level. And then so it's what it is it's that experience with it all. It's really powerful and healing. And I mean, you guys are experts. That's how I see it. I mean, I see Calvin as an expert because he knows more about health than so many people that are professionals. He knows more about health than any dietitian I've met. Yeah. And I've met some great ones that know a lot. He knows more about health about many of the nutritionists I've ever met. He knows more about health. That's the irony. That's the kind of thing it creates. Like, I'm hoping...
By going through the experience like that.
I'm hoping you do some kind of health coaching eventually. I know you're young. I know you're only 18 years old and you're a kid, but you're not a kid. I get it.
Yeah.
But, I'm hoping you do some health coaching. I'm hoping that you, start something like that, because your experience of what you went through and how much you know and the knowledge you have, I think, is priceless. Yeah. And I'm hoping you actually start something and start helping people on that level too, because I know that you know so much. So It's incredible when I want people to become experts. I want you guys to become experts. I've always said that. Read the books, become experts. That's when you become an expert too. It's experience you have of what you've been through. Then you read the medical meeting books so you know the truth. And then you put that together, and then that's what happens. And
I think what's great too is it empowers you to take responsibility for your health. And like you said, there's only so much we can do, but then we can access, the more we're educated, to make the choices that we make to be able to empower ourselves, because we have to be such big advocates for ourselves,
Liver Rescue is a good book. That book right there.
Potatoes. I love potatoes. They're like liver.
You'll hear out there, don't eat a potato. Meanwhile,
I know.
potato has lysine in there, which actually rids CFS. It rids fibromyalgia. People don't know this stuff. They're just literally, it's a land of the lost out there.
Drink yours.
Yeah, I already drank mine.
Celery's healing the world.
Yeah.
We know that. It's healing millions worldwide, even though science research says there's nothing in it. They say there's nothing in celery.
For yourself.
Science and research doesn't know what's wrong with people, but they'll say celery juice doesn't work. Isn't it amazing? If you like this live, please subscribe. I beg of you to subscribe. So
hit the like button.
Hit the like button, right? I don't know anything about tech. I don't know anything. I know a lot about tech.
I don't
a lot about tech. So I'm an idiot with tech. But the bottom line is, hit the like button, right? Subscribe. Click that bell so you get notifications or something. How it works.
Super easy.
See, I'm a dummy about that stuff, right? All right. Anyway, I love you guys. This has been an amazing time, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We love you too. It's been such an honor to be here with you and with everybody out there who's watching. So really such an honor and privilege. I hope that you all get some really good information for yourself to move forward into a more powerful life for yourself, in whatever way that is.
Do you have a message for moms? Do you have a message for moms?
Moms are really just, for me, it was just keep on keeping on, like keep listening to your gut. That's really, everyone really, as a mom, we birth our children, we're still so connected. When Calvin talks about wanting to stay in California, when I go back to Vermont, I'm thinking my umbilical cord doesn't stretch that far. Like they were just so connected that moms to just like hang in there and really trust yourself, like really be able to find a place where you can to get calm and to get centered and really be able to connect into that deeper source that's within you, because you know what's right for your kid. Like you really do. It doesn't matter what someone says, and follow that lead. And there's people like us out here, and other people too are here to support you in that, to just like help you when your faith drops, when you just feel like you can't go on, that there are people there to help lift you up and move you forward. So
incredible message.
Hang in there.
Incredible message. I love you guys, and
thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Yep, and I'm gonna turn this device off here. Bless your heart.